first game I tested was 7 Days to Die. Wow, this is having a hard time focusing on my screen. The reason I tested 7 Days to Die is because it has really poor CPU optimization. And I've got in Steam settings the FPS counter up at the top. This is on a mixture of medium and high settings. It's not great, but I like it. Plays really smooth, it's pretty responsive on this computer. I'm actually super disappointed to find out that my super cheap $5 mouse is more sensitive than my not so cheap mouse. Regardless, not too shabby. The only thing I must say is the hard drive in this machine is a SATA 2 hard drive. Now, the ones that you would get if you bought them new would probably be SATA 3, but because this one's SATA 2, the load times are kinda not so good, but once you're in, I mean, what can I say, it's not bad. Now, I'm using my phone to record this, but you're gonna have to mostly believe me that it's not too bad. I can't really play this very well with just one hand, but smooth, responsive. Let me switch hands. I like it. I'd give it a solid A. Not an A+, but a solid A. And the reason not an A+ is, again, just because of the load times. Also, I probably should mention this, although most people won't encounter it. I had a problem with my first installation of this game. I'm not really sure what exactly happened, but when I installed it, I went to play it and I got a really weird error, a C++ error. It said, oh, what was it? This game has exited with a illegal instruction. I don't know, it was really weird error, but it got fixed when I reinstalled the game. Not the typical experience, so I'm not going to let that affect my score. Let's move on to a different game. Of course, I've also got my open hardware monitor going in the background to make sure that when I close the game I have at least a relatively accurate estimation of the maximum CPU usage, and even though 7 Days to Die is a really poorly optimized game for CPU, it looks like we hit a pretty good balance between the X3440 and the 750. What? What? Error code. What? Okay. That was weird. Well, I broke out the tester, and, seems I might have a bad RAM stick, which may explain a lot of the problems that I've been having on this computer. So, I guess this is turning into a diagnostic video. Hooray. So here's my testing methodology. I had to move the CPU fan up a little bit, just so that way I could get access to the memory channels. But I've removed all except for one stick of OCZ Platinum. I love that stuff, it looks really cool. But I'm going to be testing them one at a time. It looks like this one's pretty good so far. When I ran the test with all four of them, and it started throwing errors pretty quickly, but that sort of leads me to believe that this one is fine. But I'm going to let this test finish in completion. I want to make absolutely sure that there are no problems, because I have to send this out. So there's the rest of them. And to be clear, the memory did work. I did test all of them when I bought them from eBay, so either it was beginning to fail when one of the sellers sold it to me and I bought it, or it's just luck of the draw, you know, sometimes things go bad. I'm not going to blame the eBay seller. I mean, it doesn't look like it's their fault. I did test all of them when I got them, like I said. But, how many times do I have to say this isn't the norm? Honestly, building this computer isn't the norm. I used a hard drive that I've used in like 9 other computers. That's a no-no. You really should reinstall at that point. I am using a Xeon and a consumer board, which isn't necessarily a no-no. It is something people do. It's just really uncommon and can have unintended consequences. Man, there's just all kinds of weird stuff going on, so I promise this isn't how it's supposed to be. Normally, it just, you install Windows, you install your games, and you install your drivers, you're good to go. Not necessarily in that order, but this is not the normal experience. But, you get to experience it with me, YouTube. So what I'm doing, go ahead and power this on, is I'm using the Ultimate Boot Disk to use a program called Memtest86. Try and get into the boot menu, make sure I can boot from disk. Just a moment, there we go, DVD. So, Memtest86 is absolutely amazing. I love this program. This is an older version, but, you know, it works. Let's see. Nothing crazy yet, but it is really good when you need to test RAM. It's pretty much the go-to program, in fact. Now, it operates outside of an OS, so you don't need to have Windows installed. You don't even need a hard drive in order to test it. So, I highly advise that any technicians out there keep a copy of this on hand. You can get it standalone. You don't have to have the Ultimate Boot Disk, but the Ultimate Boot Disk, which is free, by the way, comes with many other great utilities. So, highly recommended. Moving on to test number 3. You know, I guess these things happen. Can't really be too mad with the price that we paid, but, who am I kidding? I could be super mad. Nothing so far. That's the only one left to test. Of course, this test isn't done yet, but when I... Oh! Hold on a minute. I was right about to say, when I tested this with all 4 of them, it pretty much hit all the errors right at the beginning, and I think we may have found our culprit. Let's watch this for a few seconds longer. See if anything else pops up. Nothing so far. That doesn't really mean much. We're gonna go ahead and keep an eye on this until it hits 25% on that pass up there. Looks like we may have... I hope we found our culprit. I really hope it wasn't too bad. Oh, there we go. That's it. This is the one. Anytime that you have problems like this, I really, really highly recommend reinstalling the operating system once you have fixed the problem. You don't technically need to, but it can really help with problems further along the line. Now, I installed the operating system while the bad stick of RAM was in the system, so it is theoretically possible that it could be corrupted or just weird in some way. So what I'm gonna do is, once I have finished testing this last stick of RAM, is I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall the operating system. I get the feeling that there's a lesson in this somewhere. And I suppose the lesson is, be very careful what eBay sellers you buy from. Funny enough, the stick that went bad came from a really, really, well-known eBay person, so I've contacted them. They said, oh shoot, we're super sorry, and they're gonna send me a new stick. But in the meantime, I do still have two 8GB sticks that are 8GB sticks, sorry about that. 2 sticks of 4 gigs that equals 8 gigs. So it is the same speed and technically same overall capacity of the OCZ sticks. So since I am sending this out, I'm going to be using those, and I will be performing the rest of my tests, and I mean, we should be good to go now. Just be careful what you pay for. Make sure everyone's got a super high rating. Don't go for the people that have only sold like 1 or 2 items before. It's too risky. I got pretty lucky because I bought it from someone with really good feedback and who had been an eBay seller for years and have sold lots of stuff. They had a pretty good return policy. I explained the situation to them and they said, oh, our bad, we're sorry, and they will send me a new stick to replace the bad one once they get the bad one back. So, I mean, there you have it. Got it working again. I wasn't expecting this video to be a diagnostic or testing video. I was expecting to just test a couple games and get on with life. But hey, this means we can boot back up and start Dark Souls and GTA 5 and test those out. Sweet. I am back in Windows. I have to reinstall MSI Afterburner because, well, the blue screen borked its settings and I can't really do much about it, so everything is working for the moment though, so I think I'm not going to completely reinstall the operating system, and let's see what we can do here. It should do some sort of first time setup thing for like brightness and whatnot, but I'm just going to take the default options. Oh, this is going to suck to play with one hand. New game, yep. Good. Whatever, yep. Now, for whatever reason, Dark Souls 3 appears to always default to the highest settings. But, let's name him Butts. Yep. Looks good to me. Yep, whatever. I just want to test it. I don't care about the actual character. It's going to be deleted anyway. This isn't going to be a gaming PC. The person who's buying it's going to use it for content creation. Come on. Yep, I don't care about cutscenes. Skip this. Alrighty. Not bad. Well, let's get off of these super high settings. Yep, that's what I thought. Let's go to medium. Not bad. Not particularly great. Playing with one hand sucks though. Looks like we're averaging somewhere around 30-ish. Yeah, 30-ish. See if we can make that go up. No, come on. Medium. I seem to remember low actually worsening the performance, but I might be incorrect there. I've gained a few. One hand playing, Okay. See, that's more like it. It's the stupid water reflections in the first area. You very rarely encounter that again. There you go. Dark Souls. I give that a pass. Nothing great, but, you know, it's okay. Moving on. I'm loading up GTA right now, and the CPU usage did spike up quite a bit during the initial well, initialization. But Dark Souls, the maximum that we saw was 72% on core number 4. All the other ones were in the high 60s. So far, so good. And the maximum temperatures, as you can see, have stayed well within range. We are looking good to go. Let's see what we can do in GTA. Alright, I don't know what's going on, but I can't... This is past like 3, but it keeps locking to 30 FPS in the benchmark. I don't know what else to do. I had this at 16:9, so we're gonna try that again. VSync, try off maybe. Apply changes. Yes, keep changes. Tab to run benchmark. Yes. Alright. I just want to get over 30. I know that this computer can because it ran the entire benchmark and was stuck at 30 the whole time, even during the exploding scene. So let's see. Just gotta wait for it to load. And it's got this super slow hard drive. If this is stuck at 30, then I don't know what to do. But, Hey! That is what I'm looking to see. Load times may be abysmal because of the slow-ass hard drive, but look at that frame rate. Smooth as butter. Ah, that is delicious. I love it. This is great. Perfect. GTA 5 loves a good CPU. And in my personal experience, it loves Intel. I used to have an FX 4350, and I never even saw these frame rates. Ooh, this is good. I love it. So it appears turning VSync off might just... What am I talking about? Of course turning VSync off. My monitor's refresh rate is 60. VSync at half, of course, would lock it to 30. What am I talking about? This is good. I love it. It makes so much more sense now. It still shouldn't do that, but nice. Buttery smooth. I think I can up some of the settings now. We might be limited by graphics memory though. The GTX 750 only has 1 gig, or at least the version that I have. I don't think they came in any higher amounts. This might be the best that we get. And I think I'm going to leave it at this. The game looks pretty good even on normal settings. I'm just wondering how much it's going to drop when the tanker explosion hits. I'm anticipating it'll drop to somewhere around 60, hopefully no less. And we're already seeing drops into the 80s, and that's just with gunfire, so let's see. I know it won't drop below 30. Mostly because I've already run this benchmark like 6 times, and it was locked to 30 the whole time. Here we go. 60-ish. Not bad at all. Yes. I mean, there you have it. That's, I mean, what more evidence do you need? And our temperatures still never exceeded 60-ish. Alright, let's call it quits here. I'm gonna say this is... I'm gonna play some GTA 5. I haven't played this in months. So we're gonna call this A-OK. Have fun. So I've turned up the settings as much as I can without exceeding the onboard VRAM. Which, you know, MSAA, FXA, things like that. Whatever I could get away with. And it really isn't bad. I mean, the FPS isn't as obscene as last time, but it still never, ever drops below 60. So we're going to go through this benchmark one more time and then check our CPU temps. After that, I mean, that's all there is to show you guys, so I'm going to shut up and let you guys watch. And there you have it. This entire computer cost less than $200. In fact, I'm going to put up the price of all the parts on the screen as soon as this video is finished. Hope you guys have learned something good. Have a wonderful time. Oh, and our temperature still didn't get that high, so we are A-OK. Toodles. So I'm uninstalling some of the bloatware that comes with Windows 10. Look at this. That's half a gig.